Well, where do we even start with this one? Look at these stocks. Southwest Airlines down 27% year to date, 27% on a 1 year. Look at Delta Airlines down 45.67% year to date, and for the 1 year down 40.77%. American Airlines down 57.39% year to date and down 56.77% 1 year. Hawaiian Holdings down 55.72% year to date, 1 year down 54.49%. Alaska Air Group down 43.91% year to date and down 43.56% 1 year. Spirit Airlines, oh my gosh, that stock's almost as cheap as their flights. Look at this one. Year to date down 59.81% and on a 1 year down 56.09%. United Airline Holdings down 59.97% and on a 1 year down 59.88%. And oh my goodness, guys, that was a lot to go through looking at those stock charts there. That was a knockout, okay? But when I see all those stock prices down massively year to date and over the past 1 year, it makes me think, are there buying opportunities in the airline space? And I think it's an interesting time to look at these stocks because a lot of these stocks are still very beaten down. They're off their lows, but they're still very beaten down. And we're getting a little more clarity around like how scary Rona is or isn't now versus, I mean, if you bought these stocks at the lows they were like 6 months ago, respect, okay? But that was a crazy time to buy because we had no clue how bad Rona was going to get and if any of these airlines would even exist, okay? We were just like that was a crazy time period, right? They were talking about, I mean, if you go back 6 months ago, they were talking about death percentages of like 7% for the Rona, right? Obviously, we're getting different numbers than that are much, much lower. So it's less scary than it's been, and these stocks are still heavily beaten down. And so we got to ask ourselves, are these stocks to buy now? The airline stocks, are they stocks to buy now? We're going to look at this in depth, okay? And we'll talk about if I'm interested in actually buying anything in the airline space, like what stocks are the most interesting to me from a risk reward standpoint, and what would I do with my money in this scenario? Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. As always, if you don't mind, smash the thumbs up button. That helps the YouTube channel out massively. I appreciate each and every one of you guys out there that are part of the thumbs up squad. Also, make sure you check out Stock Hub. It is completely free Discord chat where you can talk stocks with other investors out there, including, I think we even have an airlines. Oh, actually, I know we have an airline section in there where you can just talk about airline stocks if you want, okay? And pretty much every stock out there, right? Where I want to get started with this video here today, we're going to look at TSA checkpoint travel numbers from 2020 and 2019. And we're going to see where these numbers are at, okay? This is an official website for the Department of Homeland Security. So let's go back in time to March 1st and March 2nd of 2020. This was when the rumors were kind of starting about Rona, and you heard some stuff around China coming out, and oh man. And so people started to kind of know about this. A few people started kind of slowly pulling back on travel, right? It was kind of like this little start there. And numbers already started to weaken, essentially, okay? You look at March 1st, it was 2.28 million passengers versus 2.3 the previous year. The next day, down to 2.089 million passengers versus a previous year was at 2.257 million passengers, okay? So it already had started. But let's fast forward a month, and you would have thought the apocalypse happened, okay? Look at this. Down to, look at this, April 1st, 2020, 136,000 passengers total in the United States traveled that day versus 2.1 million plus in that same day a year ago. That's extraordinary. Look at April 2nd, 2020, 124,000 passengers versus 2.4 million for that same day in the previous year. Though, I mean, numbers had dropped well over 90%. I mean, basically, if you were flying in basically the back half of March or at any point in April, you were only doing it out of basically necessity, okay? I mean, that is extraordinary. You could have never thought that drop off was ever possible other than a once in a 100-year event. Absolutely unreal, okay? And then look at 1 month later, it's not like it got a lot better, right? May 1st, May 2nd, 171,000 passengers, 134,000 passengers, right? Versus 2.5 million passengers and almost 2 million passengers those same days the previous year. I mean, my goodness, guys, that's absolutely extraordinary. We fast forward a month and hey, we're starting to get somewhere. More passengers are flying, okay? 353,000 flew on June 1st, 267,000 flew on June 2nd. That's still versus 2.5 million, 2.2 million. So still down like 80 to 90%, right? But hey, it's better than it was, right? It's better than it was. But then all of a sudden in July, we see a clear spike up in travel compared to where we were at. 626,000 passengers traveled July 1st. July 2nd, 764,000 passengers traveled. That's versus 2.5 million and 2 million. So, you know, numbers still down massively, but you're on the right track. You're getting more and more passengers each and every month over month, essentially, okay? And then we see some consistency, right? 709,000 passengers traveled August 1st. Nearly 800,000 passengers traveled August 2nd. And that's versus 2.3 million, 2.6 million. So things are starting to get consistent, right? But then we get a re-drop off in September, down to 516,000 passengers and 578,000 passengers in September from 2 million and 1.8 million. So it's kind of like a re-drop off there. But let's fast forward to today and look at that, okay? We're at, you know, basically the 11th, October 11th, 984,000 passengers, and yesterday, the 12th, 958,000 passengers. Now, that's still down about 60-70% year over year, right? I mean, you know, we're still down around those numbers roughly, so it's still awful, right? Versus 2.5 million and 2.6 million same days a year ago. So there's no doubt we're still down massively. However, the numbers are trending in the right way if you're looking at airline stocks, right? And you care about these stocks at all. So the moral of the story is numbers are still awful, okay? Numbers are still awful. They're getting better, but they're still awful. Now, we should expect them to get back over 1 million a day consistent in 2021. Remember, we're already starting to push up close to those numbers. So as this year kind of continues on, the rest of 2020, let's just put it that way, these last 2-3 months, and then we push into 2021, I would expect we'll get back to 1 million plus a day consistently in 21, and the possibility of getting to 1.5 million plus a day in 3Q and 4Q of 21, which would be massive for all the airline players out there, because if that happens, these players actually might be able to go profitable, okay? At least break even, if not profitable. That would be massive. In 2022, we might actually be able to push up close to those 2 million a day type numbers. Now, keep in mind, we might never get back, in terms of the airline industry, how many people were flying. We might never get back to 2019 numbers. We'll see what happens over time. But it's possible we never get back there, because remember, so many more companies, and remember, a lot of people that fly, right, are for business, right? And countless companies all over the United States and internationally have all of a sudden learned how to do their business virtually. So there might never be as much need for flying as there once was, okay? Doesn't mean numbers can't come back quite substantially and maybe get within, let's say, 10% of those travel numbers like they used to be. They might never get there, but they can get back to a point where they're like 2 million a day, if not a little over 2 million a day by 2022, okay? And so that would be very good news. Now, we got some very interesting information just a few hours ago in regards to how are these airline players actually doing, because Delta reported their earnings. Delta Airlines Q3 loss misses views, but cash burn slows. Delta Airlines on Tuesday reported a third quarter loss that was deeper than forecast, though its cash burn rate improved further. Okay, that's a good sign. Delta stock fell along with others in the airline space. Wall Street expected Delta to report a per share loss of $3.10 as revenues fell 75% year over year. My goodness. Per share loss of $3.30 on revenue of $3.06 billion. This is what's really important, okay? Daily cash burn averaged $24 million for the quarter, okay? And that's per day, by the way, with an average of 18 million for the month of September, all right? And that's daily cash burn, okay? So that's every day they're losing that much money, literally, okay? But if you look at that trend, It's improving. 24 million, now down to 18 million. And keep in mind, that's down from Q2's average burn rate of $43 million per day. That's ridiculous. Imagine losing $43 million per day. That's what Tesla's short sellers feel. At the end of Q3, the company had $21.6 billion in liquidity. That's good news. That's up from $15.7 billion at the end of Q2. So that's really good news. Also, this is really big. They're talking about for Q4, cash burn, at least the CEO is talking about, cash burn of 10 to 12 million. So if you're looking at all this, it's really good progress. I mean, it's still awful they have to, lose money and not make money, right? But the cash burn is less and less and less. And if you're thinking about this from an investment standpoint, and how do you make money on a stock like this is a good sign, okay? You want that cash burn to continue to come down and down and down. The lower that cash burn gets, the closer you are to break even. The closer you are to break even, the closer you are to profitability. Delta has reduced aircraft purchase commitments by more than $2 billion in 2020 and by more than $5 billion through 2022. It will also accelerate retirements of nearly 400 aircrafts by 2025, including more than 200 in 2020. That's no bueno for Boeing as far as all those cancellations and purchase commitments, okay? Reduced by $2 billion, then reduced by another $5 billion through 2022. Yeah, that's just no good for Boeing, because I can almost guarantee you all those planes were going to be made by Boeing, essentially, all right? Boeing has a long way to climb back, all right? Now, think about how fast things have turned. This was just this year. Delta reported adjusted earnings of $1.70 compared to analysts were expecting $1.40. Strong travel demand and cheaper fuel helped boost Delta's bottom line. This was just this year, guys, in 2020, okay? Look at this. The company had reported net income of $1.1 billion in that quarter. Absolutely extraordinary. The company on that earnings right in January, the airline reiterated its 2020 guidance of earnings per share of $6.75 to $7.75. And now, who would have thunk it, okay? Not only would the company not even be remotely close to those numbers, but the company's probably going to lose about $10 per share in 2020. I mean, who would ever, that's how fast things can change when you have such a crazy dramatic situation like the Rona come out of nowhere, okay? Now, this is very key. Okay, this is very key. Remember, I talked about that cash burn. They're talking about it getting down to 10 to 12 million soon, but this is very key. The carrier could break even and even turn cash flow positive in spring of 2021, the CEO said. That is big, okay? You have a lot more visibility if you're a CEO of one of these airlines. It's not clear visibility. You don't know if Rona is going to spike back up huge or anything like that, but you're kind of watching everything that's going on. You're kind of watching these trends in your business build, and it looks like the CEO believes the company will be able to get back to break even or even turn cash flow positive in the spring of 2021. So that's massive news. And if you're thinking about this from an investment perspective, there's another big thing. That's probably really good news, okay? So let's assume for a minute, the Delta and a lot of these airlines, let's assume they break even or maybe even start making a profit. But let's just say they break even by the spring, summertime of 2021, okay? That would mean essentially Wall Street is likely going to pile in these stocks in the next 6 to 15 months, I would say, okay? So 2021, Wall Street's going to pile in this. Why is Wall Street going to pile in a lot of these stocks in 2021? Well, if these companies get back to break even or start making profits, obviously, in 2021, Wall Street's going to pile in because they're going to say, whoa, big profits are going to start coming in, pouring in again in 2022. And guess what would probably come back at that time? Probably dividends again, which a lot of people love these, and a lot of Wall Street loves these airline stocks because they're cash flow machines and they usually throw off a lot of dividend money, okay? And so Wall Street wants to be in ahead of that essentially. So they'll start jumping in big time in 2021 if this is a scenario that plays out, in my opinion, okay? So I gotta say, guys, the airlines actually look like a dang opportunity. I never thought I would have the day when I said the airlines look like an opportunity. I've never bought an airline stock in my life, okay? Never bought an airline stock in my life, but it's actually, these stocks are actually an up here, okay? It's actually pretty interesting risk reward with what type of visibility we have. So let's say hypothetically I had $10,000. Would I put all that $10,000 into one of these stocks? Which stock would I pick? Would I divide the money up? What would I do? Or would I just put it all in one stock? Well, no, okay? I would not just put all $10,000. If I wanted to put, let's say invest $10,000 in a space, I would not put it all in just one stock. Here's what I would do. I would divide the $10,000 into 4 airline stocks. I would hold these 4 airline stocks, and I'll go over which ones I would personally buy. I would hold them for 1 to 2 years. Then I would go ahead and sell out of these because airlines, I really don't want to be in airlines long term, okay? I would hold them for 1 to 2 years, and I would put my money into this other thing that is in relation to the airline industry. And I think the timing could kind of be perfect if everything kind of works out in this whole scenario. But let's first go through these 4 airline stocks that I would actually buy, where I would divide up the money, okay? So the first one, I would buy Southwest Airlines. I put $2,500 in Southwest Airlines, ticker symbol LOVE. This is just, I think it's the creme de la creme of United States of America airlines out there. I just don't think there's anything above Southwest Airlines. I think their customer service is the best. I think their management team is about the best you can get. I'm putting $2,500 there, okay? Then I'm putting $2,500 in what I call the number 2 player in this market, or the second best player, okay? I'm not saying like the number 2 in terms of like their market share. I'm just saying like the way I view it, okay? I always view like Southwest Airlines as a creme de la creme in the US for these type of companies, and I view Delta as kind of the number 2. And so Delta is the next stock up here. I'd put $2,500 in. This is a stock that's down 45+% year to date, right? It's down over 40% 1 year. I mean, this stock has still beaten down very badly. So I put about $2,500 there, okay? Next stock up here, I'm putting $2,500, yes, in this one. This is kind of a different one, right? In Hawaiian Holdings. This is an airline company in Hawaii. I actually think Hawaii is probably going to bounce back pretty strong in 2021, and especially moving into 2022. I believe the same thing will happen in the city I live in, Las Vegas, okay? I think some of these tourist spots are going to heat back up. Let's just put it that way in 21 and especially 2022. So I'm putting $2,500 in Hawaiian Holdings. It's a very small market cap on this one, a $600 million market cap, right? Stock's been destroyed. I mean, just absolutely destroyed, down over 55% year to date, down 54% plus on a 1 year. I mean, that stock has just been trashed. And so that's the one I'm really playing for some big potential upside, as well as this next one we'll get into. But Hawaiian Holdings, I think that one's pretty attractive, okay? And then the last one I'm putting $2,500 in is United Airline Holdings, okay? This is the worst beaten down stock of this bunch. This stock is down 60% year to date. It is down around 60% in the 1 year. I mean, look at the 52-week range. It was all the way down to just under $18. I mean, it's been all the way up to $95 in the last 52 weeks. That was when, the airlines were doing really, really well. So, I mean, this is just an absolute beaten down dog stock. I mean, this is even the type of stock I might consider some call options on, just as like, kind of a more of a spec play. Let's just call it that, more of a spec play. But look at that stock. I mean, it has just been absolutely destroyed. So that's just like the worst beaten down one of the bunch that I'm saying, you know what, put $2,500 there as well. And then what I'm doing is I would hold these stocks for 1 to 2 years. I would let them hopefully, price appreciate. If things work out, price appreciates over the next few years. These stocks should see nice gains in 21, and they should see nice gains in 22. So then at that point, as these stocks hopefully appreciate, and a lot of these stocks could end up doubling up. If the airlines come back really strong, a lot of these stocks could end up doubling up, okay? And so let's assume a lot of these stocks go up 50%, 75%, 100%, which is definitely possible over the next year or two if these stocks, bounce back really strong with their businesses. Then it's time to flip out of these, because I don't want to be in airlines long term. Heck no, okay? It's just not an industry I like as a long-term investor. Let's just put it that way. Airlines are going to be airlines, but it is a bit of a commoditized business. Let's put it that way. If you can get in when the stocks are really low, that's great, and you can make a lot of money, but man, it's just not a great sector industry to be a long-term investor in, just as most commodity industries are not, okay? So I'd say, okay, now it's time to flip out. What am I flipping out into? The Boeing company, okay? That's when I flip into the Boeing, because here's what's going to happen. Boeing's numbers are going to be awful in 21. They're likely going to still be awful in even 2022, okay? Boeing's numbers should be bad for several years out, because think about it. As the airlines start to recover, it's not like they're all going to be running out to go purchase a bunch of planes from Boeing, okay? What's going to happen is the airlines will start getting back on the right track. They'll get cash flow positive. They're going to start probably paying off some very high interest debt, maybe raise some money here and there, get back to maybe some share buybacks or some dividends down the road, especially in 2022. So they're not going to run out and just buy a bunch of Boeing planes overnight or something like that. That's not happening. So Boeing's numbers, in my opinion, are going to be awful for 2021 and 2022, okay? Just really, really bad. Like, they're not recovering. The airlines have to recover way before Boeing recovers their business. Let's just put it that way, okay? So being that the stock would be a very bad stock, and by the way, Boeing's market cap right now is under $100 billion. So being that this is just gonna be a very bad stock for the next couple of years, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, I'm holding these airline stocks to 2021, 2022, flip out of that and get in Boeing before plane orders start again, because I think 2023 plane orders are going to start flying in again for Boeing, and no pun intended, okay? I think 2023 will be that year that a lot of these airlines will start go ahead and purchasing aircrafts again in pretty large volumes from Boeing. It's just basically all these airline companies have to get their company straight before they go ahead and they start saying, oh, I'm going to go buy another $5 billion, $10 billion, $15 billion worth of Boeing aircrafts. They got to get their businesses right. 2023, the plane orders start flying in left and right for Boeing, and once in Boeing, like once you get in that stock, that could actually be a stock you hold long term, like 5 years plus, okay? I mean, I would have no problem holding Boeing stock long term. It is not the best management team in the world. There's no doubt about that, and there will probably be management changes over the next couple years, in my opinion, over there at Boeing, okay? Basically, with everything that happened with the 737 MAX situation, and then they got hit with a once-in-a-100-year event, it's just damaged the business in a massive way. However, this is a business that is likely going to be around for the long term and thrive for the long term. They are a defense contractor, right? And they also are the only big player in this space of basically commercial aircrafts, okay? So they're not going anywhere, but they're going to have a tough next couple of years, even if the airlines recover. 2023 and forward looks really interesting for Boeing, and it allows us an opportunity to maybe get in that stock before Wall Street start getting in that stock in a major way. If let's say we flip into that in 2022, that's probably still before like Wall Street starts getting in that in a massive way, unless Wall Street's just so desperate to get in that stock way early, which usually is not the case. They usually wait for 6 to 12 months before a company starts coming back and turning around before they want to start getting in it. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, hope you got a lot of value out of it. Smash that thumbs up if you don't mind. That helps the channel out in a massive way, and I would love to hear from you guys in that comment section what you're planning on doing with the airline stocks. Anything out there, I would love to hear from you guys as always. Also, if you want to check out Stock Hub and chat about stocks with about 15,000 other members, you can go ahead and do that. It is absolutely free to join. It'll be the pinned comment down there, and also it should be the first link in the description. So I hope you guys really enjoy that. Thank you for watching and have a great day.